and welcome to the 2021 Diversity in Tech Awards in association with AWS. I am delighted to be back with you again this year, and while we can't all be together in a room just yet, we have a fantastic lineup this evening. Not only are we going to give out some awards, but we're also going to take a moment to press pause and acknowledge some of the incredible work that has been done within the tech community. This year, we are delighted to bring you the second virtual awards ceremony that is being streamed across 22 countries as we speak. This evening, we will once again celebrate all that is diverse and inclusive within the tech industry. We will be presenting 17 awards in total, 15 nominated awards and 2 special recognition awards. We'll hear from Cherie Atchison, our Grace Hopper Award winner, and Peter Brabazon of Specialist Stern, this year's winner of the Diversity in Tech Impact Award. Along with this, we'll have a panel discussion entitled Building and Developing a More Inclusive Tech Future. Before we start, I would like to welcome all of our nominees this evening. You should be so proud of your achievements to date and all you have contributed to championing diversity in your workplace and communities. Now, to kick it off, we have a few words from Tracy Carney, the Managing Director of the Diversity in Tech Awards.
Thanks so much, Jess. And listen, thank you so much for being able to join us here this evening. My name is Tracy Carney. I'm the Managing Director of Dublin Tech Summit and the Diversity in Tech Awards. I'm delighted to welcome you all to the second Diversity in Tech Awards in partnership with AWS. Dublin Tech Summit has always been committed to showcasing diversity, equality and inclusion in all its forms. Every year the awards evolve, and this year we truly have gone global. With over 300 nominations from 22 countries and 5 continents, it's with great pride that we can welcome viewers from Australia, Nepal, South Africa, Singapore and right here at home in Ireland. Céad míle fáilte le gach duine. 1,000 Irish welcomes to you all from Water's Edge Studios here in Dublin. I'd like to welcome AWS as our headline partner. Our journey began many months ago, and I would personally like to thank Brendan Cannon, Joanne Reynolds, and the entire team at AWS, whose vision for a more diverse and inclusive industry is inspirational. It really has been a pleasure to work with you every step of the way, and I look forward to hearing from Cornelia Robinson, who will be joined by our Grace Hopper recipient later on. Our theme for this year's Diversity in Tech Awards is so important. Our goal is to acknowledge, celebrate and inspire. You are already acknowledging the hard work and dedication through our nominees. We've come here this evening to celebrate the achievements of those individuals, teams and organisations who are leading the way in DE&I. And you can join our conversation with the hashtag #DITA21AWS. And tonight, I really hope you will all be inspired by our wonderful panel, honorees and award winners. I know how much it means to receive a nomination. To all of you who took the time to nominate, thank you so much. We've all had a tough year and you've made it just that little bit better. Thank you also to our judging panel. I really didn't envy your role. It was a tough job and the calibre of nominations gets better every year. Diversity and inclusion has become a shared value among many organisations, and that's a testament to our partners who have joined us in supporting tonight's awards. I won't keep you in suspense any longer. I'm going to hand you back over to Jess. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that, Tracy. As I said at the top, I am delighted to be here once again, particularly because this event highlights the importance of diversity and inclusion, both in tech and in day-to-day life. We would love to hear from you this evening. Where are you watching? Who are you watching with? The best way to get in touch is on social media. You can post photographs and you can tag us throughout the evening, sharing words of wisdom from our winners. Make sure to use the hashtag DITA21AWS so others can join in the conversation. Before we get to the awards, I want to say a huge thank you to our partners: Workhuman, Oracle, Reich, Etsy, Verizon, Cognizant, Fiserv, Forest, Tata Consultancy, Intercom, FTI Consulting, DCC Local Enterprise Office, Adapt, Twitter and Avanade. And to their judges for their support and their expertise throughout the past few months. Now, I am sure you all cannot wait to find out who our winners are. So without further ado, let's get on with the show. We will begin with the Diversity in Tech Impact Award, sponsored by Twitter. This is the first of our special recognition awards. This award recognises a not-for-profit organisation that has demonstrated exceptional initiative to promote diversity in the technology industry.
everyone, and congrats to all of the nominees and winners and beyond, all of the people doing the work to ensure diversity in tech. My name's Olivia McAvoy. I'm Inclusion and Diversity Lead International with Twitter. My pronouns are she and her, and for visual description, I'm an Irish woman with mid-length blonde hair. I'm wearing a polka dot black shirt in front of a black painting with white writing. Twitter is on a journey to become the most diverse, inclusive and accessible organisation. And as a result, we are absolutely delighted to announce the winner of the Diversity in Tech Impact Award, and that goes to Specialist Stern. Specialist Stern is a not-for-profit organisation that supports people on the autism spectrum to gain and maintain employment. Specialist Stern Ireland has been developing hiring and management practice that facilitate the employment by removing the barriers to once inaccessible industries and careers. And the company has now successfully partnered with more than 30 companies in Ireland to hire people who think and communicate differently and to just build capacity for diversity in the labour market. So as part of the Specialist People Foundation, Specialist Stern Ireland contributes to the global aim of 1 million jobs for people on the autism spectrum. So congratulations, Specialist Stern. I know very well of your work, I admire it greatly and wish you continued success. As I say in Twitter, until we all belong.
Peter, thank you so much for joining me and congratulations on this recognition. I'm sure people are intrigued to know a little bit about what Specialist Stern does. Can you just explain it a bit for the audience watching at home?
Well, in very briefly, what we do is we place people with autism or similar challenges in work. So we prepare them for work, we get them into work, and then we support them in that work. So it's like a 3-stage process. We support them on an ongoing basis. In fact, I've just come off a conversation with one guy we've been supporting for over 8 years now. And he was actually really calling me to see how I was. That's how it works. So what we are is we're a matching services. We have what we call candidates, people who say with autism, and partner companies. We have about 40 partner companies over here. And a lot of them are in the tech industry, of course.
There's a lot more awareness about neurodiversity now than there was a few years previous, but I think there's still a good bit of education to be done to ensure that people know, what is important when you're interacting with people who have a neurodiverse condition and ensure that they are being mindful of them. Can you talk us through, I suppose, what is key to understand when you're engaging with people who are neurodiverse?
Yeah, well, the first thing is neurodiversity literally means that, neurodiversity. So we have people of all different types, shapes and forms, like the rest of us, the so-called neurotypicals, okay? So the first thing is that you can't make generalized, okay? But let's just take one of the spectrums, the autism people, okay? They have some general characteristics, what you might say are true. They might be shy. And they might have some sensory issues, but not all have. And in fact, I've just been talking to a gentleman, one of our candidates, as I said, we've been working with for 8 years, and he doesn't have any problems socially. He's very good socially, but he does have a little bit of anxiety and some challenges in work then, but he's a very, very good person, able to work at a very high level. So the main thing, and you can say this for all neurodiverse people, if you know one neurodiverse person or one autistic person, then you only know one. We are all different, just like us neurotypicals. We've all got our, let's call it quirks, to be non-medical about it.
Yeah, and I am someone full of quirks, so I can empathise and fully understand that there is no issues on that front. The point that you've just made there is a very important one. You know one person who has one diagnosis. That doesn't define them. It also doesn't encounter or encompass every single person with that diagnosis. So how do employers work to ensure they are truly inclusive in the workplace when it comes to neurodiversity?
Well, I would say working with groups like us, organizations like us, who prepare young people for work. The average age of our typical candidate is 24, okay? And so I would say, don't try to change the world in one go. Take on a candidate working with an organization like ours, and just work around them. For example, if their sensory issue is, for example, noise in the canteen, well, then that will be disclosed. And you can allow for the candidate, accommodate the candidate not going to the canteen with his co-workers, who will tell maybe, or else we do it on his behalf, that he doesn't like, that can't stand the noise effectively in the canteen. One example of that is we had a guy, unemployed, quite a clever guy, came to us from Tipperary, and he had exactly that problem that I've described, couldn't stand the noise. Told his colleagues, his co-workers, got into the job, had great skills in other areas, phenomenal skills, and ultimately he became their boss, as it were, his co-workers, and ultimately he was headhunted within this international company to work in Canada. And in the meantime, he got married and left the country and is doing very, very well. So, you know, that's and you get that type of thing. The gentleman I've just spoken to had a problem totally different. It was mainly about the interview process. Mm-hmm. And so once he got over that, once he was in, because otherwise he wasn't going to get into a company because he couldn't do the interviews. But once he was in, his colleagues realized this guy's a genius. He actually works in quality control. So, you know, you get all types of different types.
And again, that's not a million miles away from many of the stories that we're hearing and celebrating with this award ceremony, because every person has, as you mentioned, their quirks. Every person has their own baggage. Every person has their own preferences. And we do naturally bring that into the workforce. So I think once we understand, acknowledge and accept that that is the case, we can all move on. Talk to me a little bit about some of the benefits of having a more neurodiverse workforce.
Well, the benefits are so fantastic. It's incredible. The first thing, of course, is obviously for the candidate themselves, it's a job. And that grows their life in many major sense, because economically they become independent. So we have people who suddenly, you know, get a car, have their own place to live in, get married, and all of that, and that happens to nearly all of our candidates. They go down some sort or enter some sort of relationship otherwise. But the benefit for the company is so important. The first thing is, often working with neurodiverse people, you realize you actually have to tighten up, for example, on your language, about how you tell your employees about what you want done. So in Ireland, for example, we use very ambiguous language. We say, you might do this, or and sometimes it's like, well, actually everybody knows, except maybe the autistic person, that you want it this evening as soon as possible. But that's unfortunately the language that we have. So plain English is a big improvement, and using plain English will mean that all the staff are more efficiently told what is required of them. That's the first thing. But a big thing that we found is that really having a program, a so-called D&I program, diversity and inclusion program, very much enhances the interest of the existing employees in the company. It's a good thing to do, because you must remember that, like, we work with neurodiverse people who maybe account for 4.5% of the population. That means an awful lot of the employees themselves have people in their families, are related to people. In autism alone, probably 70% have directly related to somebody or know somebody that is autistic. That's just autism. So it's a big area. I know in another area where different people were employed in a well-known hamburger joint, let's call it. What happened was it improved their business because the employees were happy. The new employee brought further people in because they were so much involved in society that the people went along to the company to be supportive. And also it builds in the community a lot of support as well. And you'll find that now a lot of, for example, groups like the GAA or certain retail outlets are supporting people by giving them a time that is particularly easier for them to go either to the cinema, less brightness or more brightness if they want it, or in shops where you have a quiet time 7 to 8 or something in the evening for autistic people. That's improving the whole world. But the bottom line for a company is it improves your profit levels. That's in an Accenture report in 2018. So it's a really win-win. It's a win for the state as well. And I think that's quite important, because the state, basically, it means somebody moving into employment gets less benefits from the state. So that's, again, coming back to the community, obviously.
Yeah, there has been huge strides made in this space, but as I said earlier, we still have a way to go. And that doesn't, take away from what we have achieved so far. But what would you like to see next for the neurodiverse community, and how can we support it?
Yeah, well, what we need, obviously, is more acceptance by the general community, and in this case, of course, by business and industry. How do we get there, of course, is the thing. So there's partly the state, a lot of things to play, obviously, but not just the state. We need employers simply for our type of business, for example. And we need employers that are autistic friendly, that are neurodiverse friendly. So working with agencies like us, and what we really do is we take off the heavy lifting for a company, because it's, a lot of HR departments are working very hard, particularly working very hard now with COVID fading, and of course the demand for employees going up. And that's one thing that for a company, we're offering talent here. We're not offering, it's not just a do-good, it's not just CSR here. This is very, very, very clear. People can do a job at a particular level, okay, to match their skills, but that's what it is. So above all, from our point of view, is society-wise, if you're a company, you might mentor young people who maybe won't work in your company, but might work in your company, about how to get a job. If you think of an autistic person, often they're very clever, but socially maybe inept. So often what happens to them is they get into college and are very successful in college. But when they come out, unlike the neurotypicals around them, they do not have that experience of working in the corner shop over summertime or something like that, because of their social anxiety. So there's something in that that has to be worked on. Now, we do work with the colleges, about 10 of them, and about helping people get their internships and that when it's part of their course, or when they just come out of college as well as obviously placing them. So there's part of the thing is to support us. If you employ people from us, and say you're paying a fee or the government supporting you to host that person as an employee, then that helps us to go back and the government to go back and actually prepare these candidates for you. So a big thing I would appeal to companies is to try it. I use this expression all the time, suck it and see. Don't try and change your whole company, because if that's, you're going to look at huge costs maybe in your mind. There is no risk. If you really want to trade with a group like us, we actually will take the initial risk in that we're the employer and we'll contract somebody to you. I don't really want to be in that business. Yes, we're a registered employment agency as well. What we're really looking for is long-term placements in companies, but even internships will get young people used to working, and the whole etiquette around the work situation. That's like in the office or on the plant floor or in a warehouse or wherever it is,
Well, Peter, it's been fantastic to hear from you, and the passion is pulsating down the screen. It is just so palpable. Thank you so much, and congratulations again on this incredible recognition. Right, now it is time to turn to our first of the nominated categories, the Digital Transformation Award, sponsored by Cognizant. Please welcome Rob Walker, Managing Director of Cognizant, to announce the nominees.
Cognizant is proud to sponsor the Digital Transformation Award, which celebrates a tech-savvy, data-driven individual with the ability to inspire teams to engage in rapid experimentation that drives transformation and positive business outcomes. And the finalists are Alina Timofeeva, Oliver Wyman, Ankita Gupta, Standard Chartered Bank, Singapore, Caroline Dunlea, Core Optimization, Georgie Midgley, M4 Jam Limited, Lavinia Morris, KBC Bank Ireland, Reshma Ramachandran, the Adecco Group. And the winner is Alina Timofeeva, Oliver Wyman. Congratulations, Alina.
Thank you for that, Rob, and congratulations to Alina Timofeeva from Oliver Wyman on your win. Next, we have the award for Young Female STEM Pioneer, sponsored by Forest Salon Software. Please welcome Evelyn Balfe, Head of Product at Forest, to announce the nominees.
Hi, I'm Evelyn Balfe. I'm the Head of Product at Forest. Forest are a global salon software provider. I myself have a PhD in computer science. So along with Forest, I'm very proud to sponsor the Young Female STEM Pioneer Award, celebrating a young pioneer showing incredible potential in the field of science, technology, engineering, or mathematics. We at Forest believe it's important to recognize young females in this field and for industry to support the advancement of their careers. And the finalists are Aisha Absel from Erlangen National High Performance Computing Center, Joytika Singh from ICX Media, Neha Shukla from 6 Feet Apart, Rebecca Wambua from Microsoft, Surabhi Agarwal from KPMG, and Tanya Matthews from Version 1. Before I announce the winner, I'd like to say congratulations to all the finalists for their contribution to this field. The winner is Neha Shukla from 6 Feet Apart. Congratulations, Neha.
Congratulations to Neha Shukla from 6 Feet Apart, our young female STEM pioneer. And it is fantastic to see the calibre of female talent in that nominee lineup. And it is incredible to see somebody like Neha getting the recognition. So huge congratulations both to the nominees and our winner. Next up, we have Africare, Professor of Sociology at Maynooth University and co-pi at ADAPT, to announce the nominees for our Entrepreneur Award, sponsored by ADAPT.
As a leader in artificial intelligence innovation, the ADAPT Research Centre is proud to sponsor the Entrepreneur Award, celebrating a leader in a technology, digital or e-commerce startup with a real flair for exceptional innovation, growth, the potential to scale up and remain sustainable. And the finalists are Anna Degtareva, Link Up Conference Show, Best Health for You, Cooper Harris, Clickly, Peace Mitchell, the Women's Business School, Sandra Healy, Inclusio, Shiti Vastogi Manghani, Breathe Happy. And the winner is Sandra Healy Inclusio. Congratulations, Sandra.
Congratulations to Sandra Healy of Inclusio. We now move on to the LGBTQ+ Award, sponsored by Etsy. To announce the nominees, please welcome Nicole Cular Lopez from Etsy.
Etsy is the proud sponsor of the LGBTQ+ Inclusion Award that celebrates an individual, team, or network that are championing LGBTQ issues by removing barriers, driving an inclusive workplace culture, and taking steps to eliminate discrimination. The nominees are Citibank, City Pride Network, Cognizant Embrace, 3 Ireland, Johnson Controls for Equality, Kin & Carta, Pfizer, Unity LGBTQ Leadership Council. And the winner is Pfizer, Unity LGBTQ Leadership Council. Congratulations, Pfizer.
Congratulations to Network Group Unity from Pfizer. Now we have the award for Tech Leader, sponsored by FTI Consulting. To announce the nominees, please welcome Grania Bryan from FTI Consulting.
FTI Consulting is a proud sponsor of the Tech Leader Award. The award celebrates a tech leader with exceptional leadership, a strong vision of the future, cohesion with company culture, outstanding management skills, as well as growth and innovation within their organisation. And the finalists are Ding, Barbara McCarthy, Turnkey Lender, Elner Yokono, KBC Bank Ireland, Lavina Morris, Microsoft, Rebecca Wambe, IBM, Rhoda Childress, Women Tech Network, Vina Ramitsami. And the winner is Rhoda Childress, IBM. Well done, Rhoda.
Thanks, Grania, and a huge congratulations to Rhonda Childress from IBM. It's now time to announce the Disability Inclusion Award finalists who made championing action to remove barriers, improve the working experience and engagement levels of disabled employees, and/or demonstrated excellence in the delivery of services to disabled people. Please welcome back Tracy Carney, Managing Director of the Dublin Tech Summit.
On behalf of Dublin Tech Summit, I'm delighted to present the Disability Inclusion Award. This award acknowledges companies who have prioritised inclusion for all. The nominees are Access Earth, Akari Solutions, Fiserv, KPMG Ireland, Peer Educational Technologies and Rethink Ireland. I'm delighted to announce that the winner of the Disability Inclusion Award sponsored by Dublin Tech Summit is Rethink Ireland. Congratulations to the entire team at Rethink Ireland.
Thanks for that, Tracy, and a huge congratulations to Rethink Ireland. Now on to the Data Scientist category, sponsored by Tata Consultancy Services. I'd like to introduce you to Deepanand Shaha Roy to announce the nominees.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Deepanand from Tata Consultancy Services. Tata Consultancy Services is proud to sponsor the Data Scientist Award that celebrates individuals balancing technical nuances across domains of data, machine learning, and software, as well as connecting them to the business context and delivering value. The finalists for this category are Erlangen National High Performance Computing Center, Aisha Afzal, ICX Media, Jyotika Singh, Fiserv, Marisa O'Shea, LM Ericsson, Raman Kohli, Juniper Networks, Shruti Jadon, Quantum Brain Research Institute, Susanna Usma. I'd like to congratulate all the finalists. And now for the winner. The winner for this category is Juniper Networks, Shruti Jadon. Congratulations, Shruti.
Huge congratulations to Shruti Jadon of Juniper Networks. We will now take a short break from our awards to enjoy a thought-provoking panel discussion entitled Building and Developing a More Inclusive Tech Future. Please join me in welcoming Jona Velker, Explorer and Board Member of Jona.ai and EU Commission Projects, Molly Das, Global Lead Innovation Labs at Cisco, Kriti Sharma, Vice President of Product at GfK. Thank you all so much for joining me. We have plenty to talk through over the next few minutes, so we're going to jump right in because pretty much everyone has heard of AI by now, but our understanding and our encounters with it may be very different. Jona, if I could start with you, could you just give a bit of insight into your own experience with AI and different biases that you may have encountered along the way?
Yes. First of all, I would love to represent myself. My name is Jona Welker, and my focus is AI robotics for divergent groups, specifically neurodivergent people, disabled people, and solutions related to the future of learning, well-being, gender. And I focus both on policy, technology, emerging research in this field. So first of all, I believe the main problem we face today is not the bias in technology, it's a bias in people in society, and I believe bias is much more social problem. And though in my work we face bias, let's say in facial recognition, computer vision, speech recognition, in reality is a bias which we actually faced before from social perspective. And I would love to demonstrate what I mean. I am a disabled person, and all of my life I was isolated, and all of the ecosystems, institutions, classrooms was created in a particular way. So that's why 90% of people with autism are not employed. And as a result, we have several levels of a problem. On one hand, social level, second, research level. We have a disconnection between technology and social science in this field. We have no idea how to put particular social groups, ability groups, children frameworks, gender to this field. And as a result, we have a bias in many areas. But once again, I believe it's much more social problem. And I don't like to, let's say, distinguish, let's say, bias of a machine learning, of a training data, because in 90% of cases, is a bias in the way how we ask questions, how we define criteria, how we define ability, how we define middle class, and how we put people beyond middle class, how we use intersectionality, how we put minority groups into research, how we ask questions, and how we interpret this data. And only afterward, we're able to talk about transparency, fairness. So that's how I see it in my work. And let's say working on policy level and portfolio level, on startups level, most of the time, it's not the problem how to make AI transparent or how to make it biasless. It's really about how to completely reshape the whole representation in our team, because only 10% of team are women. There is almost no disabled people on the teams. There is no people of particular minority groups in the team. So how do you think we can build technology which are not biased? So it's really technical, venture capital, economic problem we face almost every level. And yes, it's huge and we're trying to fix it, but I believe it's really very social and we're not able to make almost zero steps in this field if we continue to consider it is it technical and completely ignore any changes in representation, in research, in policies, and the way how we talk about particular groups which were completely isolated.
I just wanted to pick up on where Jonah left actually, and I think he made a very profound. They made a very profound point about how this technology is really a policy problem. It's an infrastructural problem. It's in many ways the outcomes that we face and how it's impacting our society in many different ways is just a side effect of some of the underlying issues. And I'll give you a personal example, which would bring I've been working in the field of technology for a very long time. I've got a couple of degrees in computer science. I've worked in this field for quite some years, and the reason I mention it is it's a subtly important point as I talk about some of my experiences of working in this field. I've been building robotics and AI tools since I was very young in my teenage years, and now a few years ago I was working on, this is back when I was very actively coding, and I was working on a project, an open source platforms, and multiple people are contributing. And I found something quite interesting. So when I was logging in with my own profile and my face and my name, I would get a lot of comments around what makes you qualified to work in this field, what makes you think you know enough. And I was still relatively young at that time in my career, probably at a different stage. And so it did shake up my self-confidence. Do I really know what I'm talking about? So I did a little experiment and changed my picture with that of a cartoon character, a cat with a jetpack, because I'm cool. So I had this jetpack carrying cat. That changed my profile picture, and a lot of those comments went away, and my code was accepted more often. And that's not it. When I was sharing the story with a couple of other women, we had this Women in Tech brunch, I think at one point in London, and the saddest part was everyone else around the table just looked at me and said, "What took you so long to figure this out?" So this is the actual reality we see when we talk about there not enough people from diverse backgrounds in this community. It's not just bringing them in, but keeping them actively engaged and including people from different backgrounds in every single conversation. So that's the tech part. It's similar challenges when you bring in people from many different backgrounds to solving problems. So these could be policymakers, these could be creative people, these could be journalists, anthropologists, people from many different backgrounds. They have to have a seat on the table for us to build the right products with this technology, because otherwise the outcomes we see are just side effects.
Yeah, the story that you have just told there now about the cartoon character, that's stuck in my head, because such a simple change could make an issue that you as yourself with that image would have to go through years and years and years and years of battles and injustices to try and get treated the same as the cartoon character, which is just baffling. But Molly, if I could come to you now, because the work that Cisco does, obviously you've got such a broad portfolio tackling so many important issues, but talk to me a little bit about your work and how it, infiltrates some of these problems that we're discussing within the world of AI?
Yeah, I'm happy to. Thanks for the question. So I think Krithi laid on to something really important, which is in order to actually create inclusive product, you actually have to be inclusive in the process. And so what we're trying to do is create an environment of belonging and accountability for everybody. The ways that we do that are employing design thinking from an innovation perspective, but also recognizing that, hey, we're likely constraining the opportunity if we are not extending this groupthink effort to folks that really ought to be represented in this conversation. So let's make a concerted effort to go to our employee resource organizations, which are part of every single large corporate company, and request for feedback, request for participation, extend our ideas to the broader community, and in a sense, go on a roadshow. So that way we're just like iterating with more and more feedback from different people or different points of views. I think that's really important. The other piece of this is we talk a lot about embedding inclusion or embedding belonging. What we know for sure is that you can't have inclusion without diversity from an innovation perspective. If you have one or the other, you forfeit creativity. So there's that piece. But in addition, what you want, even when you're bringing everyone to the table, is for everyone to feel just as interested, just as vested, just as accountable. And that's where belonging comes in, I believe. And so one example is something pretty simple, but I think is a way to actually drive better inclusivity is something like inclusive language and code. Think about it. If you are someone who's coding every day, and you identify with, the Black community in America, if you start to see master and slave over and over and over again, whitelist and blacklist over and over and over again in code, those are basically microaggressions in code. Are you going to feel like you belong? It will take extra effort, right? There will be an impedance to that aspect of belonging. And I think those are things that we all have to recognize. And so embedding belonging, even when it comes to our code environments, are super important. The last thing I'll say is that I'm a big fan of sponsoring passion, not just talent. And so, for instance, I'm a part of an organization where we have a phenomenal senior tech talent at Cisco, folks with PhDs, folks who, have dove in super deep and are tech experts in a certain realm. And then we have folks that are just really passionate about healthcare. That's actually really good to include the tech skills, but more importantly, the passion, and actually sponsor the folks that have passion and have a clear point of view on what to drive further by sponsoring their leadership in innovation projects, because that's actually going to drive a better, more inclusive outcome more likely. So those are the things that we're trying to employ. And the last thing I'll say is that I think every corporate entity will have this by now, is a centralized AI and ethics committee. We have one. It is central to our product development process, where we have guidelines, tools, frameworks to identify bias, but also work on plans to mitigate them. And holding our product teams accountable to that is also really important.
That's incredible. I really like that notion of, backing passion as well as talent, because that is something that can so easily be overlooked. You don't have to be the smartest person in the room, but if you have that drive, that passion, that graw, as we say here in Ireland, then that does go a long way. Yona, as you listen to this conversation now, are you confident and do you believe that changes are going to come to help tackle some of these issues that we are clearly all aware that are going on? And if we're aware, the big companies must be aware as well. So do you believe that change will happen?
It's an interesting question because on the policy level, we have a lot of change, and I work on suggestion for European Commission. On a level of research, we have a lot of emerging research would help to include more groups which were underrepresented before. But at the same time, I work with many communities, from disabled people, LGBT, women. I work with women in AI. In most cases, we believe we didn't see a result we expected, mostly because we didn't consider it as a complex problem. And until we consider it in this way, not just inclusion, but zero exclusion, defining accountability, why we exclude someone, why we created this ecosystem, because all of this ecosystem was created in this way. Institutions, classrooms, workplaces, and the whole representation process work in this way, which why even with in my letter into European Commission and technology ecosystem, I put the plan and agenda how we actually could go from the, let's say, talks to actions. And I believe it's a very complex. And you just mentioned, our colleagues just mentioned, there's a lot of talent of corporate world, PhDs, scientists, researchers. We need all of them because on one hand, we have a accessibility, representation, digital divide, and social divide problem. And it relates to particular gender group, particular ability, disability group, a neurodivergent group. At the same time, we have a problem of research, both in academia world and in public level, including disconnection between technology and social science. We have a disconnection between how we research people who beyond middle class. We have no frameworks for disability. We had no frameworks until 2019. We have no frameworks for children AI. Only in 2020, UNICEF created framework for children and AI. We had no specific frameworks for gender problem. The same with the comorbidity, because for instance, when we create technology for people with disability, we have much more complications in terms of underlying problems and health issues. We have no information about it. At the same time, only today we have a such thing like caregivers and stakeholders. So we create technology not only for one person, but for people who involved into ecosystem of this user or customer, for instance, is children and parents who become a user of app and they actually provide data input. So we create solutions for them. And only afterward, we are able to talk about technical level frameworks, policies when we trying to work on training data with zero exclusion principle and fairness, accountability, transparency, feedback loop, elimination of the isolated silos, and so on. So I would say 50-50. I have a strong belief in the talent. I deal almost every day, specifically on the community level, on the small business and startup level. There are a lot of very talented people who are trying to change the status quo, but in most cases, they are very disconnected. For instance, even in disability, we're only one disability accelerator located in Australia. Our disability working group located in London, UK. Only one autism-focused fund located in the United States. So we connect completely different geographies. And the only one ecosystem we create policies is European Commission. So we need to learn from Europe, incubate something in Australia, discuss it in UK, and pick money from US. With how disability inclusion ecosystem for disabled people work. Is it 2020 and 21? And that's what we're trying to fix. So yes, we have some good news, but there's a lot of work and we try to fix it.
Yeah, there is a lot of work. Molly, I want to come back to you because we touched on some of the good sides and the positive aspects of AI within what Yona just said there. But for those watching at home, can you explain how AI can be used for good and is being used for good?
Yeah, I think a lot about in the healthcare field how there's a few problem statements that a lot of healthcare professionals we observe are dealing with. There's a deluge of data. Data is highly fragmented. In terms of data coverage, I think Yona articulated this really well. Like there's an end-to-end process to make sure that your data is clean, your data has coverage, of course your data is compliant, but then also that your model is working, it's doing its best to mitigate bias or is actually, mitigating bias based on, previous human decisions. And then finally, you're actually fixing, post-model decisions that just may not make any sense. And then you have to kind of go back, right? There's a feedback loop that Yona was talking about. But in that, just with the volume of data and the challenge that it takes from getting that data to actually having some informed input, I think being able to use that data for diagnostics to actually deliver healthcare more quickly based on previous decisions, being able to read images more quickly, with to be able to get kind of common diagnoses or common results out the door more quickly. So that way we can spend more time with the patients that might require it based on, whatever their whatever a scan may yield, an image may yield, an office visit may yield. And so I think having data actually help with that, I believe, will help extend healthcare to more people and also help us be more informed. Because I'll tell you, I don't think I am the most informed healthcare patient or user of healthcare. I think that there's a lot that data could offer me if it were customized to who I am, where I came from, what's important to me, what my background is as well. So that way I can have likely a more targeted approach. And, this is something that Cisco participates more on the back end with. But I think, those models that will do algorithms for good will likely touch the end user. And I think healthcare is a great example for that.
Yeah, it really is. And we're seeing a huge innovation space here in Ireland when it comes to medtech, health tech, and looking after the well-being of patients preventatively rather than, once they fall ill. And I do think AI and a whole host of new technologies does have a big part to play in that. So that is great to hear. Kriti, I want to ask you, what advice would you give to companies who are, creating algorithms, utilizing this technology in different ways to prevent the inclusion of any potential bias?
I think there are three key factors to look at. First of all, who is creating this technology? You have to bring people from many different backgrounds onto the table throughout the end-to-end innovation, design, and continuous iteration and improvement process. Who builds it? Super important. What do they use it for? What do we do with AI? And candidly, a lot of what we are seeing, or what we have seen in the last several years, has been using AI to make people click more ads, buy more stuff they may not want, driving digital addiction, a lot of those examples. And I think we have a really important moment in time now to decide what are the biggest applications. Healthcare, great one. And we're doing a lot of work in one of those areas where there has been no access to technology for a very long time. We've been doing some amazing work in the field of domestic violence, where 1 in 3 women around the world face violence in their own homes from their own partners. And it's a huge issue, underserved. And the first time they take action often is when it's a 35th attack. So we've built tools that are designed to understand their needs and give them preventative advice and support, and what are their legal rights and options, even spotting signs that you might not think exist, and you might not want to talk to someone else about it because there could be victim blaming and stigma and shame. And you might want to take your own time to do that. And we found by using these more intuitive, unbiased technology approaches, we have been able to be more proactive in providing support and done millions of consultations. One would argue it's an unfortunate situation that we've had to do millions of these, but when the pandemic hit, there are a number of people who were asked to remain in these extremely difficult circumstances, and the services were not able to cope digitally. So I do think there are amazing applications of this technology that we can use to counter some of these challenges. Say, who builds it? What do we use it for? And lastly, it's every single part of the process and how we create this technology. And whether you're a data scientist and you're making decisions on, do you have the right data sets? Whether you're a product person who's questioning, should we even be building this technology? Or you are a senior business sponsor, a policymaker, regulator, user, we all absolutely have the right and the responsibility to ask these questions.
We are obviously talking at the Diversity in Tech Awards. Everything about this award ceremony is acknowledging and celebrating diversity, inclusion, equality. It seems to me that what could help with, tackling all of these things that Kriti just outlined is by having a really good, diverse mix of people sitting around the table, regardless of whether you're opening a coffee shop or the next social media platform. If you have different people with different experiences, different backgrounds, different thoughts, different feelings, you can then cater to a wider community because your team is reflective or more reflective of real life. Molly, do you think that's something, well, would you agree with that? And also, do you think that that's something that we might see more of as, technology continues to develop?
I would agree that it's happening. If it's happening enough, I don't think so. I think, this is kind of a global movement, in my opinion. And the first step is that we have to get everybody to care. And so there's a care factor that is required of all of us to say, okay, by default, humans are biased, therefore decisions are biased. If we are not careful, automated systems, algorithms will inherit our bias and spread that like wildfire. And all the majority of the world will be, it'll be at the mercy or at the cost of the majority of the world and their well-being. And so I think it's happening. I think we're off to a good start. I think that the work that Kriti and Yona do, for instance, is super important. That's something for a lot of large corporates to follow and learn from and understand. But I think at the end of the day, we just have to have more of a care factor, more folks checked in, more folks being held accountable, so that way we can actually get more things done. So I think we're on our way.
Well, that's always a nice note to kind of leave things on. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate your time. Thank you, Yona, Molly and Kriti, for what was an incredibly insightful panel discussion, giving us lots of food for thought. For those of you watching, please do keep the conversation going by sharing your thoughts online and be sure to include the hashtag DITA21AWS. And now it's time for the second half of the awards. Let's start with the Cultural Inclusion Award, sponsored by WorkHuman. Please welcome Niamh Graham, Vice President Global from WorkHuman, sponsors of the Cultural Inclusion Award.
Hello, my name is Niamh Graham. I'm Senior Vice President of Human Experience at WorkHuman. WorkHuman are proud and delighted to sponsor the Cultural Inclusion Awards this year to celebrate an individual and teams in championing culture diversity issues by leading actions to remove barriers, driving inclusive cultures in the workplace, and to eliminate discrimination. The finalists this year are Abudese Osunsade Brandwatch, Akari Solutions, The Knot Worldwide, the Women's Business School, TU Dublin, United Women Leading in Technology, Optum Ireland. And the winner of the Cultural Inclusion Award of 2021 is United Women Leading in Technology, Optum Ireland. Congratulations, Optum Ireland.
Congratulations to United Women Leading in Technology from Optum Ireland. Now to announce the finalists of the Rising Star Award. Please welcome Greg Swift from the DCC Local Enterprise Office to announce the nominees.
My name is Greg Swift, Head of Economic Development and Enterprise at Dublin City Council and the Local Enterprise Office. Local Enterprise Office are proud to sponsor the Rising Star Award to celebrate outstanding achievements to a recent female entrant into the tech industry. And the finalists are Alina Timofia, Oliver Wayman, Eva van Massenhove, Tilburg University, Laura Walter Gouldsmith, and Edu Trainers, Roisin Horan and Laura McGettigan, PwC, Sarah Fitzpatrick, Core Optimization, and Sarah Morton, Matter of Focus. And the winner is Alina Timofia, Oliver Wayman. Congratulations to Alina.
Congratulations to Alina Timofia on your second award this year and for all of your incredible work. We now move to the International Diversity Role Model Award, sponsored by RIKE. Please welcome Noelle Moore from Reich to announce the finalists.
Reich is proud to sponsor the International Diversity Role Model Award that celebrates someone within the tech industry who is contributing to developing a culture that allows the most skilled and talented people to succeed, regardless of gender, race, physical abilities, or sexual orientation. And the finalists are Tupac Shukla, Pearl Lemon, Jess Connor, Intercom, Nabanita Roy, ASI Worldwide, Nike Ishimwe, Amazon, Neela Johnson, Standard Chartered, Usha Katiwada, N Infrastructure and Development, and the winner is Usha Katiwada from N Infrastructure and Development. Congratulations to Usha.
Thank you to Noelle Moore and congratulations to Usha Katiwada from MRN Infrastructure and Development Limited. Next up, we are excited to announce the Mentorship Award sponsored by Fiserv. Welcome to Lorraine Deschamps, Head of Corporate Citizenship of Fiserv.
Fiserv is proud to sponsor the Mentorship Award that celebrates an individual or team that is driving significant positive change that addresses social, political, environmental, and economic challenges for communities. And the finalists are Oracle EMEA, Juliana Carullo, Tenable, Ignite Incubator Program, the Women's Business School, Joe Shukla, Acquia, Jyotika Singh, ICX Media, and Marlon von Roth, SUSE. And the winner is Ignite Incubator Program, the Women's Business School. Congratulations to the Women's Business School.
Congratulations to Peace Mitchell and Katie Garner from the Women's Business School. We now move on to the Health and Wellness Award, sponsored by Avanade.
Good evening, everyone. Avanade is proud to sponsor the Health and Wellness Award to celebrate an individual, team or network that is championing wellness within the workplace in order to maintain a positive and productive environment for all employees. And the finalists are Brandwatch, Frank Avanaro, Ease Hospitality, Kelvin Lynch, Oracle, Breda Grenham and Laura Phelan, LM Ericsson, People Ops Team, Reich, Version 1. And the winner is Frank Avanaro, Ease Hospitality.
Congratulations to Frank Yavernaro of Ease Hospitality. And now we welcome Sarah Chechateo of Intercom, sponsor of the Trailblazer Award, to announce this year's nominees.
At Intercom, we hosted a survey open to all members of the employee resource group Interwomen to pick the Diversity Award to sponsor this year. The overwhelming majority voted for the Trailblazer Award. This award celebrates a woman whose success and technical aptitude have inspired and opened doors for other women to follow in her footsteps. We think that it's thanks to the risks, the unknowns, and the challenges that trailblazers choose to face that the path to a more equitable society become more accessible to everyone. And the finalists are Ashlyn Taylor, Our Tandem, Alina Timofieva, Oliver Wyman, Amber Gaddard, Alliance Block, Marianne Doyle, KPMG, Olivia Weary, The Orchard, Rhonda Childress, IBM. And the winner is Ashlyn Taylor, Our Tandem. Congratulations to Ashlyn Taylor.
Congratulations to Ashlyn Tellard from Our Tandem. Up next, we have the Social Impact Award. Please welcome Claire Mooney from Verizon, who will introduce us to the finalists.
Verizon is proud to sponsor the Social Impact Award, which celebrates an individual or team that are championing social mobility issues by leading actions to remove barriers, driving an inclusive culture in the workplace, and taking steps to eliminate discrimination. And the finalists are Bitwise Industries, Ergo, Creative Assembly, M4Jam, Adapt Centre NUIG, Canadian Digital Service, And the winner is Bitwise Industries. Congratulations to Bitwise Industries.
Congratulations to Bitwise Industries, the winners of the Social Impact Award. And it's hard to believe it, but we have reached our final nominated award of the evening, the International Diverse Company of the Year. Please welcome Paul Leahy, Lead of Diversity and Inclusion for Oracle Ireland, to announce the nominees.
As the global cloud solutions company, Oracle's view of the world is one of no boundaries, no exclusions, one where everyone can communicate and be included in business and social life. Diversity and inclusion is in the fabric of how we operate as a corporation. Our values are anchored in a culture where everyone can be themselves at work. With over 400,000 customers, we take our role as industry leaders in this space very seriously and promote behaviors, people, and a culture that strives us towards that sense of belonging for everyone. Oracle is delighted to sponsor the International Diverse Company of the Year Award. Diversity and inclusion in our technology industry is paramount to our collective success, and we have a clear leadership role in helping our global community break down barriers that stifle this inclusion. The Diverse Company of the Year Award celebrates a company that is able to highlight a D&I strategy and how it has a positive impact on their business. And the finalists are Active Campaign, Akari Solutions, Cognizant, Tata Consulting Services, Verizon, Version 1. And the winner is Tata Consulting Services. Congratulations to Tata Consulting Services, very well done.
A huge congratulations to Tata Consultancy Services, winners of the Diverse Company of the Year Award. Now we will bring this year's Diversity in Tech Awards to a close with the infamous Grace Hopper Award, sponsored by AWS. Since 2018, the Grace Hopper Award has acknowledged a female STEM professional whose exceptional achievements and outstanding contributions have made a lasting impact on technology, society, and their profession. Previous recipients of this award include Brenda Romero, CEO of Romero Games, Miss Barbara McCarthy, CTO of Ding, and Kriti Sharma, Vice President of Product at GFK. To present this award, I am delighted to welcome Cornelia Robinson, Global Leader of AWS in Communities.
AWS is proud to sponsor this award. Inclusion, diversity, and equity are core to our business, and we're so delighted to support an individual who's a champion of the diversity and inclusion and equity for the tech industry and paving the way for younger generations. I'm so honored to be joined by Cherie Atchison, our 2021 Grace Hopper recipient. Welcome and congratulations, Cherie.
Thank you so much, Cornelia.
So let's start at the beginning. I'm really curious to understand what drew you to a career in tech.
I think I had the privilege, I guess, of growing up in the 90s, which was actually when we seen technology really on that curve. You know, when we started to move to TVs being something that was around technology as opposed to, you know, satellite, when we started moving away from radio and so on. And so it became a really integral part of people's lives in the 90s. And so I grew up with that around me, with gaming consoles, and I actually had a cousin who was a software engineer, which was really unexpected and actually very uncommon where I'm from as well. And because of those exposures to technology, I was always interested in creating things, not necessarily using the applications that other people created, but actually creating things myself from scratch. And then through the career that I have now, I actually work on creating the environments for those people to create the things that we all use every single day. So yeah, I've always had an interest and I've always been exposed to technology. And I think that's something that we're seeing more and more and more now because it's involved in all of our daily lives.
So from the 90s until now, you're now celebrated as one of the most influential women in tech, with diversity, equity, and inclusion at the forefront of your work. There's been a lot of effort to improve diversity in the tech industry over the last several years. What do you think companies still need to improve?
For me, the approach that I take with diversity, equity, and inclusion is very data-driven and it's analytical. And I take the lens that and the skills that I learned from being a software engineer, using agile methodologies and using the way that I would gather requirements and so on if I was creating a software solution. I do the same thing when I'm developing diversity, equity, and inclusion strategies. Now, what that means is that I measure success and failure in the same way that you would measure success and failure of any tech solution. Now, the key part of that is actually what I need companies to do, is to be more accountable with how they measure both success and failure. Very often people roll out fluffy statements or nice graphics, but actually when it comes to what are you going to change, when are you going to change it, and how, the metrics to define whether they've been successful or not are simply not there. And that means that it's really easy to keep pushing things out, to keep saying we'll work on that tomorrow and so on. But actually we need to think about the right now, because what's happening right now is affecting next year, in 5 years, in 10 years. So it's really key that we hold ourselves to account from the beginning, as opposed to when we think we're closer to the end goal.
Yeah, thanks for that. And, you know, when we think about the right now, there are so many groups facing barriers right now, whether it's economic, cultural, ethnic, educational, ability, language. People from various backgrounds may not have the same access to opportunities. You know, that's higher education, jobs, even knowing what's out there for them. So how do we improve efforts to close the gap right now?
For me, all of the work that I do is rooted in privilege awareness, around really understanding actually how does privilege manifest in processes and policies, not just the theoretical perspective of privilege, but actually how does that directly affect what we're seeing in front of us. Now, in order to do that, we have to use data, and we have to use that data to interrogate those policies and those processes to see who are they working for and who are they not working for. Now, the key piece here is that overlapping of data, or that intersectional data that we need, because actually if we look at, let's say, just gender by itself, well, women, for example, are not a monolith. Non-binary people are not a monolith. Men are not a monolith. So what's really key here is that we take the other lenses like ethnicity, like social mobility, like disability, and so on, to make sure that we're getting a real true understanding of what's happening, because otherwise we leave back and we leave behind those more marginalized communities, because we're able to start to rest on our laurels when we've moved the needle just like a tiny bit. And that's just simply, again, we're not being accountable. We're not doing enough. So it's really key that we build for scale early. Even if your company is a tiny company, building that framework in early means that as you get bigger and bigger and bigger, you're not having to retrospectively go back and try and find that data, find if those policies work, because you're testing it from the start.
Yeah, that's right. Piloting and scaling and continuously reiterating. Absolutely. So shifting gears just a little bit, what advice would you give to young people starting out in tech?
I think it's a really exciting industry to be in, because like I said just at the start, there isn't an industry that isn't influenced by technology, whether it's healthcare, whether it's medicine, whether it's media, marketing, everything and anything in between, even creatives. And I think in technology and going into a field like that, you open yourself up to literally a world of opportunities. You're not siloed in any way. And I think as we expand globally, as our visions for technology shift and change, being a young person now going into that means that you're able to be at the forefront of what we use in, let's say, 10, 15 years time, even 5 years time. And I think that's just a really exciting prospect for anyone, no less a young person who's like right on that cusp of, you know, becoming an adult, having all of those exciting opportunities in front of them.
Yeah, I get excited just listening to you describe that. And I just can't help but think about the little girl you described back in the 90s, and here you are now. So with that, last question for you. And it's a question that no doubt everyone watching will all have for you right now. And that's, what's next for Cherie Acheson?
So this year I just had my first book published, which was Demanding More, on why diversity and inclusion don't happen exactly and what you can do about it. And it was just listed as one of the Financial Times best books of the summer, which was super exciting. And for me, actually, what I think is really important is we've all been on a whirlwind of like 2 years now, almost living through the pandemic, some of us easier than others. And actually for me right now, I really want to take a break. I want to actually take a step back and look after myself, give my head and my mental health a break. And then maybe I'll write another book, I think. I think I might write another book after I get just a bit of a break. But I think that's what's on my horizon right now, is looking after myself. And I really hope anyone listening to this is also giving themselves that time that they might need as well to take a break.
Yeah, that's such a great and thoughtful reminder, Cherie. So wonderful to talk with you. Congratulations again. What a wonderful note to end the 2021 Diversity in Tech Awards. Congratulations on everything that you've done. I'm so excited to see you continue after your break, of course. And just thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been so lovely to talk to you.
Thank you, Cornelia, and congratulations to Cherie on your wonderful achievement. And that's it, folks. We have reached the end of the Diversity in Tech Awards 2021 in association with AWS. First off, congratulations to our winners and our nominees. Thank you to our judges who took the time to select the winners, and of course to the organising team whose passion and efforts have created a wonderful evening celebrating the achievements of so many. A special thanks to AWS, whose shared vision for an award promoting diversity in all its forms resulted in a dynamic partnership and passion to promote shared values of acknowledging, celebrating and inspiring the efforts of DE&I from all walks of life right around the world. Thank you to our award partners once again. And last but not least, a huge thank you to you who watched us this evening or this morning, depending on where you are in the world. This year's awards celebrated diversity in all its forms with some worthy winners, wonderful insights from our panelists and special recognition award recipients. Congratulations to all of our winners. Here are some of the highlights.
We are absolutely delighted to announce the winner of the Diversity in Tech Impact Award, and that goes to Specialist Stern.
And the winner is Alina Timofeeva Oliver Wyman.
The winner is Neha Shukla from 6 Feet Apart.
And the winner is Pfizer, Unity LGBTQ Leadership Council.
And the winner is Rhoda Childress, IBM. Well done, Rhoda.
The winner for this category is Juniper Networks, Shruti Jaran. Congratulations, Shruti.
And the winner of the Cultural Inclusion Award of 2021 is United Women Leading in Technology, Optum Ireland. Congratulations, Optum Ireland.
And the winner is Alina Timofeeva Oliver Wayman.
And the winner is Usha Kariwada from N4N Infrastructure and Development. Congratulations to Usha.
And the winner is Ignite, Incubated Programme, the Women's Business School.
And the winner is Frank Avanaro, Ease Hospitality.
And the winner is Ashleen Taylor, Our Tandem.
And the winner is Bitwise Industries. Congratulations to Bitwise Industries.
And the winner is Tata Consulting Services.
I'm so honored to be joined by Cherie Atchison, our 2021 Grace Hopper recipient. Congratulations, Cherie.